Hi. I will give people a second to join. Some of you were able to make it. Some of you are busy, which hopefully you're doing something that doesn't involve being on social media. Like I said in my post, I fully recognize the irony of scheduling something on Instagram to share with you about my social media sabbatical and how that worked for me and answer some of your questions that you had. So just for some backstory, if you didn't catch my blog post this week or you're new to my page, from September 1st, 2020 until the end of the year, I was completely off of social media. I was off Instagram that whole time. I was sort of checking Facebook toward the end of it. And then I was on LinkedIn like only during like work days, because for me that's like a professional platform, and I wanted to, hi Bridget, hi Beth, make sure that I was still connected with that platform. Anyway, whole bunch more information on my blog posts, which if I can add a link to this thing when it's done, I will do that. But again, technology is not always my number one thing. So I'll get right into it. So I've got my computer, my notes over here. That's why I keep looking here. First question was, how did you resist the urge to check social media? Partly this was kind of easy for me because I was just like so over it. Like I just was like, I literally wanted to chuck my phone against the wall and never see a screen again. So at first it was deleting the apps, so totally took them off of my phone, which for me, that's like a very good boundary, like to have it like completely off. But I noticed right away that like all of a sudden I was like super into Pinterest again, or like looking at Nextdoor a ton and like just replacing it with other apps. So I had to delete some of those too. But once I figured out that, what was drawing me back to my phone, then that helped to minimize it a ton. Another question was, how did you fill your time you would have spent on social media? This one was pretty easy for me because there are like 1,000,001 things that I like to be doing. And I have a lot of hobbies. So that time was able to be filled pretty easily. I would say at first it didn't really feel any different. Like I felt like more clear-headed, which maybe felt like I had more time. But even now, like post-sabbatical, I don't really feel like, oh my gosh, I got 100 hours back in the last however many months. It just like, for me, like mentally felt better. I was able to focus my attention on things and projects that meant more to me than just like scrolling through, like watching funny videos. So that was cool. I would say like, think about how you are with habits, especially how you are with building new habits. Like if you need to replace that time with something in order to break that habit, then I would go into it, if you are going to do a sabbatical or some kind of break, with something in mind. Like maybe there's a podcast you really like and you know that every Thursday they put out a new episode. Well, maybe Thursday becomes your no social media day because you're going to listen to that podcast instead, take notes, share what you learned with a friend. I don't know what the habit will be. That'll be up for you to decide. I like wrote out my answers for this. I also put for this. So the question was, if you're just joining, how did you fill your time you would have spent on social media? And I said I'm also very cool with doing nothing. So sometimes it was literally like, what do I do right now? Okay, I'm going to do nothing. And sometimes that's really what we need most. Another question, how did it work as a business owner? I want to be on social media less, but I am my business. Yeah. Okay, so as a solopreneur, this is something that I was able to do. You're not going to see like Target just like be like, bye internet, I'm taking a social media sabbatical, and then they like don't do anything, right? They have huge marketing campaigns and efforts attached to their social media. So I'm fortunate in that sense that I was able to do that, but my business did take a hit when I'm not out sharing with all of you and talking and putting content out. That interrupts my marketing plans as well. But really, for me as a leader, I can't lead from an empty cup. And I was at the point in time where I was just so drained from this that I felt uninspired. I didn't even feel connected as a leader to how I wanted to show up here. So I needed to like cut the cord and like start over fresh. for me. Everyone's situation is going to be different, but that was what I went into it with. I will address though some fears as a business owner of going off of social media. Like I thought I was gonna like open up Instagram again and like I would have like lost all my followers and like Instagram would have like banned my account or something. Like just like a lot of fear and anxiety up front, but I just had to anchor into the trusting feeling that I had that this was right for me and know that like when I did get back on that it would be in the right timing for the right reasons and in the right state of mind. So it wasn't like there was no fears. Speaking of fears, one of the questions was, what about FOMO? And my answer was, in general, I don't usually get FOMO. It's not usually something that I struggle with. I'm introverted. I like to be at home. Like I have FOMO when I'm not like at my house. Like I'm like, what is my house doing? Like that's my form of FOMO. So it's just really not the same. But again, back to that trust thing, I had to trust that like the people that know and care about me at that level, they would find a way to reach out to me if there was something going on or something I needed to know about. So, I mean, it's a trust thing. And actually what was funny is the first time I checked Facebook after being off for this long, it took like all of 3 minutes to like see what had happened since I had been gone. And like, that's like the thing about FOMO is it's just like wasted energy and like you don't miss that much when you're not on social media actually. Okay, so next question. How did you stay connected with friends and family who you might not talk to every day normally? This is a really good question, and I think if I would have thought about it more before the sabbatical start, I might have had a different answer. But for me, what I did was, if there were certain people that I knew I was only like Insta friends with, I asked for their phone number and let them know what I was doing ahead of time, especially if we were like mid-conversation in like DMs or something like that. I have a ton of resources that drive people to my website, and that was one of the things I shared with my audience before I did my sabbatical. But again, it just went back to that trust thing of knowing that, you know, if somebody needed to get a hold of me, they would figure out how to do it. And I had to just trust that if there was any additional connection needed, that would happen in some way, shape, or form. Oh, I also said I did miss people a lot though. Like I truly did miss like the social aspect of it. Like that was one of the lessons learned in the blog post that I shared. And that was sort of an aha moment for me because literally going into it, I was like, social media is not social. Like it doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels like fake and weird videos and memes and like people trying to sell me shoes and stuff, right? Like it just was, I don't know, I didn't see it that way. But when I was gone, I didn't have this connection point, especially in a pandemic and especially at a like stay-at-home time, because in Minnesota we went back into a stay-at-home order, and that really opened my eyes to like how powerful social media can be, and you can build genuine relationships online. Next question, how do I break the habit of checking my phone when I'm bored? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I've solved this problem yet for myself. But the very first thing that popped in my head when I got this question was just this like philosophical thought of like, we are powerful human beings flying through space at like however many freaking miles per hour, and we somehow get bored. Like, how are we bored? We're literally like flying through the universe right now, like doing crazy stuff. Like, anyway, okay, off my philosophical soapbox. I think awareness of knowing that you're checking your phone when you're bored is key. Like that's, you know, with any habit, when you have more awareness to it and kind of know like your, knowing your habits in general, just like when do you tend to use your phone? When do you put it away? When are you, totally immersed in something else? And what does that look like? I think that's a big part of it. I would say, like I said earlier, a big thing that I noticed early on was like, I had deleted Facebook, I had deleted Instagram, everything was off my phone, but I noticed that I started replacing that habit with other apps and other distractions. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you might replace that habit initially, that social media habit, with other phone habits. And if that's the case, and you are realizing that it's more about getting off the phone habit than getting off the social media habit, then you have to maybe look at things a little bit differently. I also just encourage you to think like, what's possible when you are bored. Like, I think when people are bored, and I associate bored with like you're not really doing anything, that's when you can have so many cool ideas pop in your head. That's when you might get an idea for like what you want to replace this habit with, a new hobby you want to start. I think when we let our brains just sort of like do nothing, and not do nothing in like the binge social media way. Like, I don't think that's actually like checking out. I think that's just like numbing something out rather than checking out and like letting your brain open up to like creative possibilities. I think there's a big difference, and we confuse the two. And also just a loving reminder that you are capable of so much more than just wasting your time on social media or on your little device. Again, irony is not lost on me that I invited you all here today to learn about this on social media, on your little device. Okay, love this question. How did you feel on a soul level while off of social media? I hadn't thought about this until someone asked, so thank you for asking the question. I immediately felt free. Like, once I came on here, told all of you that I was going to be off of social media, deleted the apps, like I remember I recorded it in my office. I was sitting just right over there, deleted everything, and then I just like ran downstairs. I think Dane was starting to cook dinner or something, and I just felt like amazing. Like, I just felt like I had been like totally liberated and like almost like welcomed back to my life and my actual reality versus like living through the virtual reality that is social media. Over time, I just felt like an immense amount of healing, especially creative healing, being able to get back into my own ideas and what I want to do, and as a leader, how I want to show up here, what I want to teach about, what habits actually support me and where I'm going, versus, again, that like mindless scrolling, checking out, numbing out, that kind of thing. So overall, amazing, great. I think you should do it too. Okay, what are you applying from what you have learned? Outside of my lessons learned, I would say two things. One, using social media from an intuitive place, meaning how do I want to use it? What is in most alignment with me when I get onto social media, whether that's from a coach and leader perspective of what I want to share, or from the perspective of like, what do I want to learn about? What really do I want to consume and pay attention to today? And then second thing, it was one thing to be off of social media entirely and be able to watch, from afar, oh, if I was still on social media, I would have just spent 45 minutes doing nothing. Or, oh my gosh, why was I ever following that person? Like, I'm not really getting any value from them. And it was easy to see things from taking a step back. But now, being back on here, I'm noticing that I need to, as an active user, reset those boundaries of how do I want to use it now that I'm actually like back in it. Because it's one thing to think about how you're going to act from afar, but when you're actually taking the actions and going back into the thing, you have to consider what that's really going to look like. So for me right now, what I've been thinking is re-engaging with like the screen time setting on my phone, which I used to just like blow past. But I have it set right now during the week of 30 minutes a day. And that means within that 30 minutes, I need to do my business posting, share with you, engage with you, do what I need to do on that level. And then if I happen to have extra time, maybe I am watching funny videos, like doing some of that mindless stuff, or maybe I'm seeking out, oh, I knew someone that was going to be going live, and schedule time to, or make the time to actually consume what I want to consume. But it's been interesting. Like, I noticed like right away the habit was back of like picking up my phone, popping straight into Instagram when I had like no intention of even doing that. So I'm still learning. I think there's a lot of good resources and things out there to try, but for me, I just like to do little life experiments. And if you want to try this out as well, I encourage you to do so. I'm happy to exchange phone numbers with anybody that is like, I'm off of social media, but I'm gonna need help, or I want to like connect with you on what I'm learning. Like, let me know, and I want to support you in that way. And yeah, I think that is all the questions that I wanted to answer today. I'm sure there'll be more to come, more questions or more things that I want to share with you, especially as, like I said, I am getting back into this. So until then, happy Saturday, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to all of you soon.